the summation contribute to the base model? That's if I'm understanding the question correctly. The answer is, as far as this class is concerned, right? Summations are a income generator, which means they should always be added to the base model. Another way to think of it, summations are never subtracted except in the case where and I'll do this as a short example too, so it won't be a big honking model. It will be where a percentage is taken as an expense. But I'll do a quick example of this one too, percentage. Because I feel like I've done, or I've written one before, whether it was formally or informally, and I'll demonstrate it as well. All right. Percentage. Percentage. Okay, cool. So here we're going to go. So this is a question right there, right? Summation, how does the summation contribute to the base model? Remember, your summations are always model based, right? That means you're not going to be receiving or even doing a problem on your final such that it's going to say, hey, figure out the summation on its own, right? So if I give you something very straightforward, right, in the sense that it's, just call this example one, where I go, she make, suppose on the first day, let me bullet this actually. Suppose on the first day, your social media platform reaches 20 people. My research suggests for each view, social media account is shared to 2 new people following day, and so forth. And you make $1.25 per, I don't know, unique visit to your account. Okay. Sure, the language is a little bit different. I may be talking about a website, a social media platform, a post, whatever the case, but you can know that this is indeed a summation-based problem because you can see there is some type of growth factor discussed. There's some kind of beginning point, and then there's some kind of monetary value, okay? The unique part that I wanted to write here, and I'm going to type it in navy, right? I'll put it in parentheses first. I'm sure if done prior, but an example where a summation can be an expense based on criteria given. Okay, and the way that would look is something like that, something like this. You pay out let's just say donate. You donate 10%. Now let's say 15% of your income towards a charity each month. Okay. Therefore, if I go, what is the model? Obviously, I don't say it like that. I always say in the form of a leading question, as you've seen before. For clarity's sake, let's just say, what is the model, right? If you know that the summation will start as so, base model, with the whole summation I equals 1 to n of the three numbers, which I'll color code here, 20. Let's go green for 2, and light blue for $1.25. And you know that specific to summations, you know, it takes the form that we've learned, this alpha, beta to the I minus 1. How do the numbers fit, right? If you don't know how to write the summation immediately, that's okay. Then my follow-up question is, if you look at the alpha times beta raised to the I minus 1, which of those three numbers, 22 and $1.25, or purple, green, and light blue, do they correspond with the alpha beta?
Is 20 the alpha, 2 is the beta,
Mm-hmm.
and then the
Mm-hmm.
1.25 goes in front of like the simulation sign?
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so thank you for answering. Yes, that is absolutely correct. I minus 1, and then the $1.25 here. So that means that if you or anyone else, right, because this isn't just Jessica's problem, it's everyone, for them to understand or reaffirm or reinforce. If you run into any kind of summation, you know, in the black bullet specifically, it will be presented in that vernacular, in that format, in that language, in that verbiage, whatever you want to call it. And it will always be like this. There will never be a time where I go, hey, on the first day you get 20, and then the second day you get 18, you get, nope, I just always give you the first day, because the hypothetical scenario we're building is that obviously people in the social media business, if you can even call it a business, but that venture, whether they're an influencer or they run it for a business or their own business, or they're part of a social media division or a bigger company, they're obviously posting more than once a month, right? If anything, it's every other day, every week, something to entice its followers or its clientele or its audience to continue to visit, because there's something valuable there, whatever it may be. Throwing that all out the window for a moment, let's just say that the first of the month is the big social media post, the new content of the business, and then anything you do the rest of the month is just kind of secondary to it, right? It helps inflate the visitors that are to your profile. However, whatever may happen beyond that, I will always give the bare minimum and no more information than some kind of growth factor, some kind of initial starting, and then some kind of monetary amount. And it will always be like this, right? Now, what some students do though is that maybe I don't write the question in this exact order, right? There are many times where I would say research suggests, or you've been doing research, and then I give you the growth number first instead of the initial. Well, who cares what order I provide the numbers? You can always read where the 20 people, I always say first day, those are always aligned. right? And you know that the growth, no matter whether it's the first sentence, the second sentence, the third sentence in a bullet, right? I always talk about how the research suggests that's for one, and how it is shared, right? If it's shared, that means it's growing to new people the following day, right? That's your key component. So whether you read the first day, the initial reach, whether it's the first sentence, the second sentence, the third sentence, whatever, in that whole glunk or muck of the first bullet, you know they're always associated the same way. So whether you see 21st or you see 2 first, doesn't matter because you know that it will be whatever the case it might be. So it'll be this. Now, the new part that's unique here is this payment here. I gotta do this in a different color. So yes, question presented here that I said, hey, summations are income generators. Why? Because you make $1.25. Make $1.25 for each visit or each visitation to the platform. Now, I don't, again, do this often, but occasionally I'll do it where I'll say, hey, you donate what, 15% of your income? So that's an expense, right? Hopefully people realize that by now, but it still involves your summation in this particular example because there is no other thing that's generating you money. So what do? You subtract 0.15 and then you rewrite the entire summation. That's all, which would be $1.25, sigma notation, the numbers involved, and then you just close this bracket. Now, before people freak out or they feel like it's a little bit too much, remember this is the base model, all of this. And before anything needs to be done, just realize that you are not solving anything in this format or in this form. I guess I'll put that as a note as well. Note, just as a reminder, once base model is attained, right, you are solving for nothing. Right? There is no number that is supposed to result in this base model. What can be done though is simplification. Simplification may be performed, but unnecessary. Right? Depending on how good your algebra is, right? And you don't have to write this down because I'm going to erase it. This is saying that you have 0.15 of this whole expression. Here, since there's no number in front of here, you have not point, you have an invisible one, right? You have one whole this summation. So then you can subtract 1 minus 0.15, and then you're left with what? 0.85 of the summation, right? And if you go, wait, I don't understand where the 1 came from or the 0.85, just think of it as this way. So I'll erase these marks so it doesn't confuse anybody. The whole simplification aspect for this example, just imagine, if you will, that you had summation, and that's a variable, right? Summation minus 0.15 summation. these are two of the same variable, are they not? Right, these are the same variable. And I'll put variable in quotation marks because it's not a real variable, obviously. Suppose it is, right? It is summation. In fact, I'll get rid of the quotes right there, right? Summation minus 0.15 summation. Well, what number is in front of the first summation? It's that invisible one. Yeah, I'll put a, right? So I'll call this invisible one. Invisible. Well, if you have one summation minus 0.15 of a summation, that equals 0.85 summation, right? And that's what I'm talking about for simplification. And most people don't even do that. They just write it out as you see it for the base model right here. This is helpful because it gives you only one summation. That's one. And two, it's cleaner. And three, you just realize that instead of putting this green summation, that's just for you to visually understand it. It will be helpful to just substitute the entire summation back to where this green point is, or green summation. So either way, it works like that. But this answers your question in terms of how do you know when the summation will be part of the base model? It's always in the front. See how there's no negative sign right here? It's positive. In fact, anything that we make money, we always put it at the front of the model because it's a generating aspect. The other thing to realize is that the only time you'll subtract a summation is something of this nature where it's taking a percentage off, and then it'll go, oh, hey, this is what it costs, and so on and so forth. And again, there's no need to combine it or simplify, but if you do, it'll make your life easier. Okay.
When you did simplify, how did you get the 0.85?
The 1 minus 0.15. That orange one minus the 15, the 0.15 in pink.
Oh, okay. I was multiplying that. Okay.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Do we need to also, hold on, let me flip back to see, make sure no one's typing questions. All right, cool. Do we need to double check to see if we can calculate anything with the summation, right? Remember how we talked about this? Maybe it was last Friday. I don't think Wednesday, because I don't think Wednesday we had a proper lecture. We just were answering a bunch of questions. So it was pertaining to last week where can we tell the difference where we have to find the first, say, 3 days worth of calculations versus only the 10th day of a calculation or 15th day or whatever day. So in other words, first so many days, which is known as a series or a sequence, right? Specific to here, it's series because we're going to be adding. And then a singular day where you go, oh, okay, this is a single day. This is the calculation for my results for only the such and such day of the month. Do we need to see that again? Or practice it, if you will? Okay, let's practice it really quick because they're short calculations. I'll pick numbers so that they're relatively small so you don't have to go crazy on them. Let me do this really quick. Bum, bum, bum. All right. So here are two baby follow-up questions, and then I will pause for a brief moment and let you ladies try them. Okay, so first one is how many people and how much was made in the first 3 days, question mark. And then the second question will be how many people and how much was made on the, I don't want to pick a number that's too big. Let's say 20. Yeah, that's good. On the 20th day, single day. And I'll already tell you right now because you guys will be working on this on your own. The difference is that this says first 3 days and this is 20th day. In fact, let me do these in different colors. The first 3 days. Da, da. Okay, so that's how you know this is what they call a series. And this is what you would think of as a single day. And then remember, just in case, the summation, I'll write it again. I'll write it down here again. It was 1.25 summation I equals 1 to n. I already forgot what the colors I use. Purple 20 times 2 to the I minus 1. Okay, and when you see these types of questions within a modeling problem, it doesn't invoke or use the entire base model, right? These types of questions pertain only to the summation. So let me give you about 5 minutes. Yeah, you should be able to do that in 5 minutes, and then we'll reconvene. That's not good. This is software. Okay. So for number one, you basically are writing the same exact expression for the summation, except what's the difference? The difference is that since it's asking for the first 3 days, I'll use a different color here. You're pulling this n to be 3 here. And the rest is the same. Which means that this summation now is going to be made up of 3 numbers that you'll be adding together because you have to do this 3 times. And again, you just 20 times 2 to the 1, 2, and 3. Again, the I is cycling through every number, increasing 1 at a time, starting with 1, ending at 3, and you just calculate it. And then for those that need it, because I forgot who it was, whether it was this section or my previous section, I would not do this in the calculator. I would simplify first, right? This is just 20. Let me drop the plus signs here. This is 20 times 2, and the last one is 20 times 2 squared, right? Technically the first. Technically to 0, but you know that cancels or simplifies to 1. So you don't need any of that right there. So then it becomes, you reach 20 plus 40 plus 80, which means that you reach 140 people. You multiply that by $1.25. That means you made 140 people. This implies $175 was profited. For the second one, since it's a single day, you don't need a summation. You need just these details right here, and I'll say right here, without summation. Well, what happens, or what is left, when you take out the summation? Just $1.25 times 20 times 2 to the I minus 1, right? And then it tells you the 20th day. So all you do now is you substitute 20 for I, 20 for I. And then this implies that you'll have $1.25 times 20 times 2. 20 minus 19, 20 minus 1 is 19. And then you do this number. For the people, that answer is whatever 20 times 2 to the 19 is, which is 10,485,760 people. And from that, again, you multiply by $1.25. I need parentheses here. Parentheses times 125. Then you get 13 107,200. So these are the answers for number 1 right there. And for the second follow-up is this and this, which piggyback off each other. All right. Okay, what are the questions? Make sure no one's typing any questions. Oh, that's fine. Got that. All right.
Sir?
Go ahead.
So what I did wrong, the first in the first section, I
Right here?
applied 1.25 to the other days. So at the end, I got a bigger number. So you don't apply the 125 to the other days, right? Until the end?
You technically can if you do this. If you go, here's the thing, right? If you don't apply the $1.25, that answers the people portion. If you do apply the $1.25 to each of these, like this, right? In other words, 20 times 1.25 plus 40 times 1.25 plus 80 times 1.25, you still get 175, but then you never get the 140.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
You can try that on your calculator right now, right? If you go 1.25 times 20 plus 1.25, 1.25 times 20 plus 1.25 times 40 plus 1.25 times 80. You'll still get this 175, but you'll never get the, excuse me, you'll never get the 140. And the reason that the 1.25 is in front of the summation is that the way summations work is that you do all calculations pertaining to the summation behind, I need a different color, right? Everything that follows, you do all this first. Once you get that number, which corresponds to this, then you can do the multiplication of 1.25. But if you end up doing what I wrote here at the very top, 1.25 each portion, that is correct. You will get 175. It's just that you won't get the 140.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Here it's a little more straightforward with the second part because it's only a single number, so it's one and done. There's only one calculation, that's what I mean, and then it's done.